Nationally, the rate of kids who are abused and neglected, it's dropping. But here in Maine, it's the opposite. That's according to the Kids Count report from the Maine Children's Alliance.
We touched on some statistics from the report yesterday, but tonight, News Center Maine's Jackie Mundry is bringing us a closer look at why Maine kids are more at risk. Jackie?
Hey, Brian and Amanda. The Kids Count report that came out just yesterday shows more than 4,000 children were abused or neglected here in Maine in 2021. In 2017, that number was at 3,200. So we're looking at a 30% increase in 4 years. The communities struggling the most are in the rural parts of the state.
Maine's rate of child maltreatment was the highest in the nation at 19 per 1,000 children in 2020.
Child welfare advocates say that stable relationships and environments are critical for healthy children in development, and children who don't have that are more likely to develop mental and physical health challenges and are at a higher risk of homelessness when they grow up.
To prevent child maltreatment, we must invest in strategies and programs that strengthen these families and decrease the need for child protective intervention.
In 2021, Somerset and Waldo counties had the highest rates of child abuse and neglect in the state, with almost 30 per 1,000 children affected. Melissa Hackett with the Maine Child Welfare Action Network says substance abuse, domestic violence, and economic factors contribute to these high numbers. Case in point, Cumberland County reported 8 per 1,000 children were abused.
Access to services we know is kind of a critical component. Where
Hackett says resources like domestic violence support services aren't as accessible in rural communities, but the state is working on that. Governor Janet Mills's biennial budget proposes $237 million for these kinds of resources.
We must acknowledge that the drug epidemic is jeopardizing the safety, security, and welfare of our youngest children.
Last year, almost 700 children in Maine were exposed to substance use in the womb. That includes more than 1 in 10 children who were born in Androscoggin, Somerset, and Oxford counties. The Kids Count data shows these numbers are declining, but it's still an issue.
Substance use disorder, in fact, is identified as a risk factor in 53% of the cases where a child is removed from the home.
During her State of the Budget address 2 months ago, Mills directed DHHS and the Maine Child Welfare Action Network to create a prevention plan. Hackett says they are meeting with families across the state to try to figure out where the challenges are.
New comprehensive plan to keep children safe by keeping families strong.
A representative from DHHS did not attend the unveiling of the data, but writes in a statement that the Kids Count helps to ensure that Maine identifies reports and responds to child maltreatment. It also contributes to Maine identifying maltreatment at a higher rate than other states, as not all states take this approach. The Maine Child Welfare Action Network says they are actively collecting data for a prevention plan. One of the solutions in the Kids Count book is having the state invest in peer support for families in the child welfare system. Brian and Amanda.
Jackie Mundry breaking down the new numbers. Thank you so much, Jackie. And don't forget, you can always catch up on the day's top stories anytime when you download the free News Center Maine app.